President Trump today outlining a plan to reopen America. One of the requirements, states will have to go 2 weeks without seeing a rise in COVID-19 cases. Tonight, that's a challenge South Dakota is now struggling to contain. Here's my Nightline co-anchor, Juju Chang.
Far from the hellish hospital scenes in New York City, nestled in the nation's heartland, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Minnehaha County, now home to one of the biggest single COVID clusters in the U.S. The outbreak centered at this Smithfield Foods pork processing plant, the economic engine of the region, with roughly 600 employees testing positive for COVID-19. The country's largest supplier of pork, employing 40,000 people across the country, forced to shut down the Sioux Falls plant this week. Some employees say they'd been worried for weeks about their health and their families.
Was there a lot of fear among your coworkers?
Of course. Everybody was with a lot of fear to go to work every single day.
And so what made them go to work?
That they don't want to lose their jobs.
The outbreak outlining the debate over how we protect essential workers while ensuring the country's food supply chain remains secure.
For me, one person positive was enough to shut it down because we have a lot of contact,
She didn't want to reveal her name, even after quitting last week, after having worked there, she says, for more than 10 years.
I was thinking that it was not a safe place to work, and especially to protect my family.
What made you think it wasn't safe?
There is no social distance. We are working all together. We are working in lines.
1 feet apart, 2 feet apart?
No, I can say a few inches.
She said Smithfield was a good employer, paying her $17 an hour, cutting pork on an assembly line, a fair living wage with health care and a 401k. But for her, the risk was no longer worth the benefits.
They told us in the first meeting that we are essential workers and that we need to keep working to provide all the food to the tables. But at the same point, we are humans. We need to be healthy to keep working.
Last week, people took to the streets in Sioux Falls to bring attention to worker safety concerns.
Everybody was afraid that if they didn't get protective gear soon, that it was going to escalate. So we felt that we needed to be the voice of the working company here.
For Nancy Reynosa, a community organizer and founder of Que Pasa Sioux Falls, it's personal.
I have worked there myself, and in any other time, it's not a problem. But when we have COVID-19, and we've known this for several months, the problem is we're trying to social distance, and we have people that are working in close contact with each other, shoulder to shoulder, working for hours upon hours.
The city's mayor, Paul Tenhaken, was also beginning to sound the alarm.
The cases really grew over the course of 4 or 5 days.
South Dakota is one of just 9 states with no formal stay-at-home orders. Instead, Governor Kristi Noem issuing social distancing guidelines, urging her constituents to stay home and not gather in groups larger than 10, something she believes is enough for her state.
We have seen such an outstanding call to action among the people of South Dakota. The way people have stepped up in South Dakota and taken it seriously has been phenomenal.
Governor Noem has said weeks ago that South Dakota is not New York, and yet, as you pointed out, it's one of the biggest single clusters in the country now.
I don't like making the news for being a county and a city that's growing at the rate we're growing in terms of the number of COVID cases we have.
Last Friday, Smithfield announced it would shut the plant down for 3 days in order to clean the facility. Then on Sunday, the company declared it would suspend operations at the plant until further notice.
This virus can spread so unbelievably quick. And I think Smithfield would agree with us that it snuck up on them like it snuck up on a lot of other businesses. 2 cases can turn into 10, can turn into 50 like that.
Smithfield issuing a statement reading in part, unfortunately, COVID-19 cases are now ubiquitous across our country. The virus is afflicting communities everywhere. The agriculture and food sectors have not been immune. We have continued to run our facilities for one reason, to sustain our nation's food supply during the pandemic. The company says it will continue to compensate its employees for the next 2 weeks. Smithfield isn't alone. Several of the nation's biggest meat and poultry suppliers have been stricken with COVID cases. Tyson Foods was forced to close a plant in Iowa last week after an outbreak of COVID-19, which left 2 dead and close to 200 workers sickened. In a public statement, the company said they are deeply saddened by the loss of 2 team members. Both Smithfield and Tyson say they've implemented social distancing guidelines and precautions inside their plants. Some of these measures include temperature checks, providing protective gear, and erecting plexiglass barriers between team members. But beyond the factory, Mayor Tenhaken is taking it a step further.
We're taking some positions right now on a municipal level to, potentially look at shelter-in-place orders and things that we can do on a city level. And then we're going to take some action on the local level, at least try.
Our thanks to Juju. We've just seen how a health hazard may impact our nation's meat supply. Many other food processing companies in the U.S. now enforcing extra precautions so they won't be next. One of them, Perdue. Earlier today, I spoke to Jim Perdue, the chairman of Perdue Farms. Mr. Perdue, thanks so much for joining us. I saw earlier the long list of measures your company's taking to keep your employees safe. Can you just share just a couple of those with our audience, please?
We have a couple of advantages. One is that we have wellness centers in all of our plants. These are buildings in the plant that are staffed by nurses and doctors from the local community. And we're utilizing them a lot right now. Secondly, we have a tremendous 8-hour cleaning shift every day. And the plant has to be inspected by the USDA in order to run. So it starts off very clean. When our associates come to work now, they go through a temperature check with an infrared sensor, then they put on gloves, they put on masks, enter the facility. We took doors off, knobs off, so you don't touch anything. You walk into your workstation, and then we put partitions in between each worker to try to mitigate contact in that area.
I've been to your plants in the past, and I know how communal the work can be. How challenging is that to implement social distancing at your plants?
It is a challenge, and that's why, I think as an industry, we're very innovative as an industry. And so we used to debone a lot more chicken breast. So the consumer may have to put up with a bone-in breast, like my grandmother used to deal with. That way you don't have to have as many people side by side trimming, and you can help with the distancing issue.
Well, I know my aunts in North Carolina will be happy to hear about the bone-in chicken that you'll be putting out now. How is Perdue responding to Americans who might be facing food insecurity at this time?
Yeah, our facilities are in somewhat rural areas where maybe there isn't as much access to grocery stores and that sort of thing. So number one, something our associates told us is they don't have time to go shopping for food. So we give them chicken every week when they go home. And secondly, we're sending trucks to all of the communities where we have operations, and we sell at wholesale. And so when we alternate that each week.
Jim Perdue, chairman of Perdue Farms, thank you, sir. We wish you, your family, your company continued grace. Thank you so much.
And you too, Larry. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.